Well, hey y'all, Dan here. You know, I said that I'm all ready except just packing my backpack and getting out on the trail. Some of you might be interested in what goes in a backpack for a hiking trip like this. So I thought I would just put it all together for you and let you see it. I've got it all spread out. I'm going to show you what it looks like spread out. And then the big three includes my sleeping bag and my air mattress. This is an REI 17-degree sleeping bag, and I have used it for every hike that I've been on in a long time. My air mattress is an AirCore Ultra by Big Agnes, and it's a 4.5, R-rated at 4.5. This is certainly a dry sack, but it's also an air bag. You know, you take and you connect this end to the valve that's here on the air mattress, and then you just let the air fill this up, and you just squeeze it into the air mattress, and you don't have to blow your lungs out as you're trying to put it all together. It all fits here in this little bag. The second part of the big three is my tent. This is a Z-Pax duplex tent. These are the tent stakes that I use. These are MSR groundhogs, and then it all fits here in this little sack. It all fits into the third part of the big three, and that's here. This is my backpack. It is a frameless pack, very lightweight, and I have a cup holder here on one of the shoulder straps that just, I put my water in there. Everything goes inside here, and then you just roll the top down. When it's all rolled up and ready to go into the backpack, that's the size of it. This is my air mattress, my sleeping bag, my tent. The first two things that go into my backpack every time, the very first thing is my sleeping bag. It goes all the way down into the bottom. It gets squished around and it makes room for everything else. And then I put in my air mattress. The very last thing that goes in is my tent. You sort of pack in reverse order. The last thing that goes in is the first thing that you're going to want when you get into camp to come out. The very first thing I want to do is take my tent out and set it up, especially if it's bad weather, if it's raining or cold. I want to set my tent up so that I can get into it, get out of the weather, and then I can go ahead and finish setting up on the inside. So I can throw everything in there and then start setting it all up. So my big three: backpack, shelter, sleeping system. Okay, I've laid out my next three items for you. This is my clothes bag, my cook system, and what I call my maintenance kit, which includes my first aid kit and then also stuff that I can use to fix my gear if something happens to it. So we'll go through this one item at a time. And let's just all start here at the bottom. Have this really little basic first aid kit. It's got some alcohol wipes. It's got a couple of Band-Aids in it. That's pretty much it. And that's really all that goes in there. Then I also have some patches. These are patches that are made out of called tenacious tape, and they will fix everything from just tears in my tent to holes in my air mattress if I get those. And then also have some extra little valves for my air mattress. You can see little valves in here, some more tape, and again, some of that tenacious tape. Really good stuff. Next, I have some wet ones. I call them dry ones because I let them dry out, and that way they don't weigh much of anything, and you can open them up, get them wet with some water, and then just use them to wipe and rinse off. It makes it really refreshing, especially in the summertime at the end of a hot day. This is just an emergency blanket, just in case I ever needed it. I always carry one of these with me wherever I go. Right now I've got Body Glide. Tell you the truth, I like the Gold Bond friction better. But right now I'm out of the Gold Bond, so I'll have to go buy some more. But I've got the Body Glide. It works okay. I put this on my feet. There's other places that chafe, but for me, my feet, I put it on my heels and my toes, and I've had no blisters. My knife is this little Swiss Army knife. That's all I have ever needed. It's got a file on it that I've never used. It's got a blade that I've used some. It's got the scissors, and I have used the scissors quite a bit. It also has some little tweezers. I have gotten splinters and thorns in my hands that I've been able to get out with those little splinters. Also has a little toothpick here. I don't know. I've never used it, but there it is. Quite very small, very compact. Does just fine. I carry some Afterbite, especially again in the summer, spring and summer when the bugs are out. This helps me keep from itching. And some chapstick, just any kind of chapstick. Sometimes, especially in the wind, my lips start to get dry. Got some toothpaste, and I get laughed at because I cut down my toothbrush, not because of the weight, but because of the real estate. Everything, you know, if it's small, it packs easier. Have some camp soap that I use. I use that both to refreshen myself up, but also when I'm doing dishes after I've cooked a meal. Pepto-Bismol has just been a good thing to have. You get out and your body starts just wondering what you're doing to it, and sometimes my stomach gets to acting up. Pepto-Bismol is good. I have this very little small sewing kit that I use, and I'm telling you, this sewing kit has been a lifesaver. I've repaired gear. I've had snaps that pop and break, and when that happens, this little sewing kit has allowed me to keep on going. And then finally, I have a couple of little things of Advil, and I carry. And on this one, this is called Leukotape. And Leukotape is better than moleskin or anything else. You put it over a blister or a cut, and it doesn't come off until you want it to come off. Unlike some people use duct tape. I don't use duct tape. Man, that stuff, once it's on your skin, it's going to rip your skin as you're trying to get it off. This comes off really good, but it doesn't come off until you want it to come off, and this is called Leukotape. That is what I call my maintenance kit because it maintains both me and my gear. I get a lot of questions on how I cook and how I eat out on the trail. Well, this is my stove. This is my little cook stove. This is called an MSR Pocket Rocket. Folds up very small, weighs nothing, and that's my cook stove right there. I use just a big lighter, but I like to have the ones that were sort of the candle lighters, so it keeps my hand away from the flame a little bit more, and then it all screws on to one of these little cans, and I get about 15 boils of water or 15 meals out of this little cook stuff, little can of gas. Something that I started doing, I don't hear anybody else talk about it, is so that I can keep track of what I do. Like this one, I take and put a tick mark each time I cook a meal. This one has 9 meals on it, so I'll get about 6 more boils out of this one. This is my camp pot. I used to use a 650 milliliter Tokes pot, and I still like it, but I started cooking inside my pot. In those days, I just boiled the water and I poured it into one of like a mountain house or one of the freeze-dried meals. The meals that I'm using now is by a company called Right on Trek. Great food, has a variety, and they all taste good, but you cook them up in your pot. And so yes, it causes me to have to do a little bit of housekeeping after my meal, but it's worth it because it tastes really good. And that's my dinner. For breakfast, I often will have just some oatmeal, and if I do that, or I may have biscuits and gravy, I make those at home. Jason of Jason Outdoors, he taught me how to do that, but so I don't have to really get my pot dirty except for dinner. And then when dinner comes, I use that soap that I showed you, and then I carry just a little scrubbing pad, and that just sort of goes down in the bottom of the bag, and then I have all of it in a bandana, and it all goes in this pot. Put the bandana in, put the stove, the gas in, the stove goes in there, so does my lighter. That just all closes up on it, just like that. The handle swings around here and actually holds everything in place, just like that. And then I have this really nifty rubber band that goes over the top of it. Let me show this to you. I learned so much from other hikers. I think it was John, Senior Hiker 77, who first showed this to me. And I got a bunch of these bands to use on my gear. But the thing about it, you put it around it like this, but then it's split. So you can take and bring it to the corners a little bit, and it holds everything in place. And then my scrubbing pad goes into the bottom of my gear sack, a little stuff sack, and then I put my pot in there. All right, next is my clothes. This is what I carry to change into. I only carry one change of underwear and one pair of socks. Always use these darn tough socks. These are amazing for me. I like them. But you know, gear is very much a personal thing. So while I like them, other people like other kinds of socks. That's fine. Biggest thing is to test out what you're going to use and decide on what you're comfortable with. The trail's uncomfortable enough. You need to try to be as comfortable as possible. I also have one of these sport t-shirts. These are these weather wicking t-shirts. You can get them really any sports store. And then finally, I have a pair of the same thing. They're sort of a nylon material pair of boxer shorts, and they keep me very comfortable and dry. So that's my one change of clothes. So you change and wash the others, what you're wearing, and trade it all out as you get onto the trail. And then when it's cool, or if you don't know it's going to be cool or not, I always bring also what's called a base layer. This is smart wool material, so it does a couple of things. It's really warm and it doesn't stink. So those are two great qualities of smart wool. The pants, we used to call this long johns when I was growing up. Hikers call them base layers. I guess that sounds nicer. But these are the pants, and then this is the shirt. It's a half zippered top, and because sometimes when I put it on in my sleeping bag, and I only wear these at night. During the day, I don't wear these. I keep them dry so that the next night they're ready to put on again. So the only thing, sometimes I start to get hot in the sleeping bag, and so then I can zip down this top, and it helps sort of regulate my temperature. When they're all packed up, there's my clothes, my cook system, and my maintenance kit. People ask about water. You know, how do you get your water? Where is water? So, well, preferably streams and creeks and rivers will have water sources. But as I'm going through farm country, there's always a pond. And what I do is, this is called a Canuck bag. Some people call it a Seneca bag. And this opens up very wide. So you can pull the top open like this, and then you just scoop it into the water, and you can fill this up. This is 2 liters for this bag. You fold it over, and it just slides back on top of it, just like that. That holds the water inside. So you fill your water, and then you have a filter. This is called the Sawyer Squeeze, made by Sawyer, and this is what I use to filter water. It has these caps that, again, Jason of Jason Outdoors, you're always learning something from other hikers. He has made these out of just soft drink caps and glued the lids on it, cut the bottom off of it, glued it on there, and then it just screws in place and into this filter. You can see the flow. So you screw this end onto the bag, just like screwing it onto there. And then I have smart water bottles that they will screw right into the end of that. And then I use this cord, and I just sort of wrap it around a tree, hang it up, and the gravity will feed the water through the filter and into my bottle, and I have filtered water, and it's just fine. But that's the filtering system that I use. And then staying with water, the rain. You don't have to spend a lot of money on your rain gear. This is a Frog Tog rain jacket. I don't know, I think I paid $19 or something for it. You know, you can pay into the hundreds of dollars for a rain jacket. It's not the best looking, but I'm not looking to do a style show out there anyway, and it works very well. And then a friend of mine gave me this. I have never liked rain pants, but you do need something to go around to keep keep your pockets dry, because you got all your stuff in your pockets. And this is a rain kilt. It's made out of a very lightweight nylon, ripstop nylon, and it works very good, and it's super light, and it's just perfect for me. So that's my rain gear. It's a Frog Tog rain jacket and then this nylon rain kilt. Holtzman's makes some of the best knives for hiking that I have discovered. This is my favorite neck knife. This is a Holtzman's neck knife. Has this scabbard that the knife fits in, and then that hangs around your neck, and has this ferro rod that you can carry with you and use the back of the blade of the knife, and you can strike fire if you don't have a lighter. So it's just another fire source for me. I typically carry a lighter in my cook kit, but if I needed to, I could start a fire with this. Without getting into too much detail, this is my trowel. This is sort of my toilet kit. This is my trowel to dig a hole with. I have little camping toilet paper that goes in, and then some hand sanitizer, a couple of other pieces of this gear, all fits into a bag, and it just goes in the outside of my backpack so that if I need to get to it quickly, I can get to it. This is my coffee mug. This is the best coffee mug, in my opinion, that a backpacker, long-range hiker can have. You can pull it out of its sleeve, and you can see that it is marked, gives you marks for your water, and that comes in super handy for everything from making coffee to making meals. Really helpful. And then it just slides down into its sleeve. I just hang that from my backpack on a carabiner. Some people would call this a luxury item. This is my chair. For me, I call it essential. This weighs 1 pound. It sets up very quickly. It tears down very quickly. It all rolls up nice and compact, and I slide that into one of the pockets on the side of my backpack. It has been amazing for me because I have an injured back, and after about 10 miles of hiking on the trail, my back is screaming at me. But I can take this out, sit down and lean back and take the relief off of my back for 15-minute break. I can put it back on. I can go again. And I don't consider this to be luxury. I consider this to be an essential item for me. Believe it or not, that is 5 days worth of food out here. Here is my breakfast, my lunches, my dinners. I have some snacks, and that's it. It all fits into this bag. This is made out of material called Dyneema. It's very lightweight, and Hilltop Packs made me that bag special when I was attempting the Appalachian Trail. Great company, and I have really appreciated that bag. Dyneema is very strong, very water resistant, and it's just held up really well. But so let me show you my breakfast here a little bit. These are a couple of meals that I make here. This is a biscuits and gravy. Take just frozen biscuits, dehydrate them, crumble them up into these little Mylar pouches, and take some sausage gravy mix. McCormick's makes some good sausage gravy mix. Other companies do as well. And I put it in there, and then it takes about 150 milliliters, about 5 ounces of water. Let that rehydrate, and great meal. Jason of Jason Outdoors taught me how to do that. This one is sort of one that I made up on my own. This is a granola. I put blueberries, dried fruit in there. I'd seen Mountain House and some of the other store-bought trail meals with a granola, and I thought, well, I can do that here. I also take some oatmeal, and I like the flavored one. So this is a blueberry strawberry oatmeal. Spent so much time just eating oatmeal every morning, I got tired of it, so I started going to the flavors, and that gives me sort of a break. And I'm trying these breakfast bars, these Atkins breakfast bars, very low carb and high protein. Then this is my favorite coffee for the trail, and really good anytime. I certainly won't take this whole box of coffee with me, but this is it, Max Espresso. It's a Korean coffee actually, and really do like it. For snacks, just got some fig bars, some Rice Krispie treats, again, my electrolytes, my medicine, and these are the best meal bars that I have found. My Green Belly Meals to Go, they have a variety in there, and one bar just is very filling. And they're not like eating hay like a lot of bars are for me. I don't like them typically. I like these. They're moist. They're filled with a lot of protein. Has a lot of. This one is a mango cashew coconut bar, and then I have this one here, which looks like a dark chocolate and banana, and then up here is a cranberry almond. Meals to Go by Green Belly. And then for my dinners, I have gone to Right on Trek, and I just use Right on Trek for everything. They have such a variety. This is, I think, my favorite. It's the chicken Alfredo, but all of them are good. This is a pad thai. I have another chicken Alfredo, and then this is a chicken coconut curry and chili. So those will be what I'm start out with my first 5 days on the trail when I do the Cherokee Trail. But one thing I like about them is they also send them with a lot of condiments, so you can take and mix them up. It has everything from chocolate in here, and you can see there's cheese in here as well, and then peppers and olive oil, all kinds of stuff that they send in these little condiment packs. Well, all that fits into there. Now, to eat with, I have my handy dandy spork. This is a titanium spork. I have used a couple of these. The ones I like the most are these with the polished bowls. They just have a better feel in your mouth. Mine, previous one, it was just this whole rough thing, and you just grit your teeth as you're trying to eat your meal. And then in here is all I use to hang my bag. And maybe when I get out on the trail, if I have to hang it, I'll show you how I do that. That's my little hanging kit that goes on the bag. There's my meals. Okay, here we come to the very end of what I'll be carrying with me on this trip. This is my electronics. When you look at it, it might look like it's a lot. This is what allows me to bring the trail to you. Let me just go through what I've got here. This is my Garmin InReach Mini. What this does is it gives me a connection with my wife, and we can do texts. I can, in the case of an emergency, I can send an SOS signal out regardless of whether I have connection with my cell phone or not. This works off of satellite, so while my phone connects to it through Bluetooth, the communication is happening via satellite through this little device. Really has been helpful, and I have used it on a lot of trails. Then I have this Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone system. This happens to be the receiver. It plugs right into my camera, and then I have 2 of these transmitters, and this is what plugs onto me. You have great audio signal any distance away from the camera, and I mean I can be 200 feet away from the camera and it sounds just like I'm right up beside it. That has been a big plus of having good audio for my videos. And then I have a couple of sticks, of handles. This is a Ulanzi. I like this a whole lot because, for one thing, it extends, and I can either have my DJI Osmo Action 3 mount on it, or I can take this off and I can put my camera, my regular camera, on here. Really like these mounts. This is one of the things that has got me sold on the DJI Osmo Action 3. It's just the ease of the way it mounts on different gear. This is the little camera. This is the Osmo Action 3. I've gone from the GoPro to this camera. Both have pretty much the same quality of video. The thing I like about this is the batteries last so much longer on this camera than it did on my GoPro. I can go for 3 days on a single battery, and then also the batteries charge up so much quicker. So in 15 minutes, a battery will go from 0 to 80% charge on this little camera. This has been really great, and so I have it, and I'll show you how it mounts. It's a magnetic mount. It just mounts onto the system just like that. So I can take these various mounts. This mount here is a GoPro mount, and I clip it to my shoulder strap, but then I can put the camera on it and I can give you video from my shoulder. And then the other mount that I use for it is this little, again, this is a little GoPro, a little selfie stick. It's real lightweight, and so I can take and put the mount on here, and same thing, I can have, and it has a tripod on the bottom of it. With this little mount, I can set my DJI action camera up, and when I'm going to take the mount off of here, let me just show you real quick. I can just take the mount off, and then it has a 1/4-inch thread that I can screw on to the bottom of my big camera. I've gotten a bigger camera. This is still a small camera. This is a Sony ZV-E10, and this little camera is really neat. It gives me options of having different lenses. I can take and interchange the lenses. This is a Sigma 16mm lens with a f rating of 1.4, so it lets in a lot of light. It's a little heavy, honestly, to be taking out, but the reason I have this one with me and why I'll be taking it on the trail is because this lets me do some amazing night shots of the stars. I can do it with this lens, and the camera does a great job. Now, the disadvantage of this camera is that it has no viewfinder. It has this screen, and so when you turn it on, you have a screen here. And that's what you have. And honestly, that's a little bit hard sometimes to get a good focus on the shot. So I have this device that this will go over the lens, and then you have an eyepiece that you can really center in your shot and get a good focus shot. I am loving this little camera. As you can see, on top of it, on the hot shoe, it has a little ladybug. Pull that off, have a hot shoe here, or it can act as a cold shoe, and I can take my microphone and I can put it right here. I can plug it into the side, and I can have my wireless mic working on this camera as well. Another thing with this camera is that it does have interchangeable lenses. So you can take this lens off, And I can put this little lens on. This is the kit lens that came with this little camera. And it's not a high quality lens, but the thing it does do, it gives me a zoom. This is a 16 millimeter to 50 millimeter zoom lens. And when I take and turn it on, it is all powered within the camera itself. And so I can zoom it. And there's a zoom switch right here on the camera as well. This has been a real plus to my gear, and I'll be taking it with me as I go out on the trail. I also have this drone. This is the DJI Mini 2, and I use this drone to get those aerial shots and give you a very different perspective from the air. It weighs 249 grams, which is a half of a pound. A very light little drone, and does an amazing job with pictures. You can see on the camera here, I also have an ND filter on the camera. This is an ND 16. I keep it on here. That's what I use on 99% of my shots. If I'm doing a video of sunrise or sunset, and I switch out the ND filter and I use this little ND 8 filter. That's my video and audio equipment. The most of it goes in here, but my wife, she made me this, and thing here is what my drone goes in, and I'll put the controller in one side of it, and the drone itself folds up this small. You can see it's smaller than my hand, and the drone itself will fit into this other side, just like that. I usually have some Kleenexes I put on the top of it, put that on, and then all of this goes in my belly bag. Some people call it a fanny pack. I call it a belly bag because it sits on my belly, not on other parts of my body, and it will roll up. It snaps into the waist belt of my backpack, and this is where I'll carry my drone. How do you power it all? These are power banks. I have 3 power banks. I may end up carrying all 3 of them. They are a bit heavy. This power bank that sits in this little electronics bag that, again, Hilltop Packs made for me. But this is a waterproof bag that I can put this Anchor power bank in. This is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank. It's a great battery bank, and I have used it for quite some time, and it has held up very well. Super battery bank. And this is an older one that I've had. It's also a 20,000, but it does okay. And again, I've got those bands that I use for them, but it does okay. It charges with a micro USB, and then it has 2 regular USB-A power ports that you can charge with. And then finally, this one is one that I just bought. This is a 28,000 milliamp hour battery bank. Has a display on the front of it. Has 4 charging ports. You can, with a USB-C, you can charge into it, and you can also have a USB-C port to come out of it. These are my 3 battery banks, and these will keep me going for about 2 weeks as I'm out on the trail. So I'll probably end up having to take all 3 of them. Each one will last me about 5 days. Last thing I have, of course, my trekking poles. These help me as I'm hiking and walking, but I use the trekking poles for my tent to pitch my tent there. That is my gear, with one exception, and here it is. My old hat, number 5, will go with me, of course, as I go on the trail. I like my old Tilly hat. So that's it. That's what I'll be taking with me. I'm ready to go. Backpack is going to be packed up as soon as I turn this camera off, and it's time to be out on the trail. So by the time you see this, I will actually have probably been 30 to 40 miles up the trail. So stay safe, stay healthy, stay on the path, and God bless you.